Morning, everyone. I just wanted to take a moment off the top to tell everyone who was so significantly impacted by the flooding yesterday that we're thinking of them. Obviously, our thanks go out to all the first responders who stepped up, the city workers who are there, the hydro workers who continue to work to try and reestablish power for those who lost it. It was a significant event. And I want you to know that we're all there to work together to make sure that not just people get supported through this, but that this happens more and more infrequently in the coming years. The reality is, though, that with climate change, there are going to be more extreme weather events. So we need to continue to step up in our fight against climate change. We also need to continue to be making investments in resilient infrastructure that can handle what the future is holding. We know over the past number of years we've made about a dozen investments in flood resilient infrastructure and various measures from the federal side onto the City of Toronto, and we're going to continue to be there to make sure that people are safe and that infrastructure needs are met long into the future in this great and growing city. Je veux prendre un moment pour partager mes pensées pour tous ceux qui ont été affectés par les inondations ici à Toronto hier. Évidemment, ça a été un grand bouleversement pour bien des gens. La réalité, c'est qu'avec les changements climatiques, ça va continuer d'arriver de plus en plus. Je veux tout d'abord remercier les travailleurs de la ville, les travailleurs d'Hydro et les premiers répondants qui ont été là pour appuyer les gens dans des moments de difficulté et qui continuent à travailler fort, mais aussi souligner qu'en tant que gouvernement fédéral, on va être là pour les années difficiles qui s'en viennent. Au cours des dernières années, on a fait à peu près une douzaine d'investissements en infrastructure pour aider avec les inondations ici à Toronto, mais il y a encore plus à faire et on va continuer d'être là en tant que partenaire pour que les gens à Toronto soient en sécurité et surtout qu'on continue à bâtir un avenir plus prospère et plus sécure pour tous. Merci beaucoup tout le monde. Thank you.
Good to see you guys here. Great to be having the opportunity to visit you all, and first of all, thank you for all the amazing work you do and everything you do to keep people safe, keep people moving, keep the city as great as it is. I know it's not always easy work, but it's really, really important work. And it really is important to me and to everyone in Toronto. And I've got to say, Olivia's been an amazing partner to work with on investing in you guys. I'll turn it over to Rick for the official introduction.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Prime Minister, for being here. As you can see, we have amazing people that work in this facility to keep Toronto moving every day. We are going to speak for all of us when we say we're thrilled to hear that the federal government is coming out, and I'm going to let you know that we're going to put our submission in today, all right? Got to keep them here happy, right? And get that work. So we want to say thank you for that. We're looking to hear a little bit more about the program, but we're excited.
Yeah, no, listen, what we're doing today is making sure that you guys have good jobs, not just for years to come, but for decades to come. The focus that we're doing right now as a federal government is stepping up with the kind of predictable long-term transit funding that means that partners like the City of Toronto and Olivia Chow can plan for not just the next couple of years, but for the next decade and beyond. It's permanent transit funding that's going to make it easier to have those longer-term plans that we know is part of it. But it also gives both you the certainty in the work that you're doing, but especially Torontonians the certainty that transit is going to meet their needs for decades to come. Olivia?
Yeah, folks, did you hear this? This incredible long-term partnership that we have with the federal government. Listen to those words. Long-term, permanent and predictable. Should we give them a big round of applause for the federal government? Because, we are never alone, and with this kind of partnership, it means that we've always had this kind of historic partnership, and to be able to confirm it, reaffirm it, and celebrate it is a great day.
Yeah. Well, we announced that we wanted to build a permanent transit funding a number of years ago, $3 billion a year, so that's $30 billion over the next 10 years. But what we've done over the past years is work with cities like Toronto, with partners, to make sure that it's flowing in the right way, to make sure that you can plan right so that you're meeting both the needs. I mean, some of the things, the trains that you're working on are getting on in age, and you're therefore having to do more and more to keep them going. Well, we need a clear plan on how those next phases are going to come, and how you're going to be ready to meet the challenges and the needs of the coming years. And that's what this predictability is all about. This is an investment in you, because you're worth it, because the trust that riders have every day, that you've been able to have their backs and keep them safe, is unbelievably important, and it's what keeps great cities like Toronto continuing to run optimally. So it's a real pleasure to see you guys.
Just one last thing. Yesterday was a tough day because the rain was coming down, and TTC today is now fully back on because of all your work and many other people all across the city, transit workers, and it's a great relief to all those people traveling. And they say, this morning when I said in the media, TTC is back up all the way, and there was just a big sign.
All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to ask the media to back up a little bit so I can see everyone. It's a clear space, and then I'd love to hear from you guys around things that you're thinking, questions you might have, concerns you have, issues that you're facing in your desire to continue to do and offer the very best to the millions of riders who rely on you every year. Anyone has any questions for me? Yeah, sir.
Question for you. The funding that's being promised here, is it strictly for operations or capital?
No, it's more capital than operations. The federal government is there for capital investments to get things going. Operating funding is usually provincial and municipal on the side of things. During the pandemic, because everyone was scrambling, we stepped up a little bit with operational funding. Where we really help as a federal government is on being those partners to get the new infrastructure, which is the biggest upfront cost. The ongoing running of it is something that's a little more what Olivia is focused on, and the province needs to as well. One of the things that we are doing, though, with this funding is dividing it into different streams. And one of the things that we're really trying to encourage with that is, first, for cities to continue to do what they're already doing, which is make more ambition around densification and build more housing around transit stops. So within 800 meters of a transit stop, for example, you should be able to build high-density housing with no limits. We can reduce the parking minimums that are required because we're hoping most people who live in those places will walk and use transit and won't be relying on cars to the same degree. Other things like asking for really integrated regional plans so that you don't get one city doing one thing and the next city doing something completely different that might not connect. And that's planning work that cities are doing more and more in the regions. So those are the kinds of things where these investments really fit in. Other questions?
No?
I know, transit workers aren't shy, so here we go.
Move up. Come on.
New train anytime soon. That is an ongoing conversation. I was just chatting with AJ about that. We recognize that the rolling stock it has been expertly maintained for many years, and there is always a need to make sure that we're increasing capacity, increasing the ability of trains to respond to growing needs. But it's not the federal government that decides what municipalities and provinces are going to be spending on. We're there to be a partner on their priorities as long as they fit within a plan that makes sense. The decisions around that is done much more at the provincial, regional, and municipal level. But federal government, we're there to be partners. So I guess you could turn to Olivia on that.
Yeah. So if we are able to, now, at 12 o'clock, break at 12 o'clock, we're going to be able to put the application in for the funding of a portion, to be precise, $785 million. So the city have put in that dollar amount, the province have put in that dollar amount, with the federal dollar that will come. Hopefully our application will get turned down. Assuming that is going to be approved, then the orders will then go in sometime in the fall, maybe before the end of the year. Then the budget depends on which company gets it. Our friends at Funding Bay, if they get the contract with the dividend, then it will be going on.
There's enough money for new all sorts of things. That's what this funding is all about. Making sure that the priorities that the city and transit officials and the province have can be met with significant federal money in partnership. Yes, the city and the province have to put up money too, but we're there to give that predictability so that you can make plans.
That's good. Thank you.
There you go. Another question. Here you go.
Any plans to put LRT or transit in Durham region and then connect TTC with Durham?
Well, listen, the plan, what we're asking for with this permanent transit funding is people take advantage of the predictability over the coming decade and long into the future, because it's permanent transit funding, that will allow people to do the regional planning that sometimes isn't there. I was just in Kitchener-Waterloo yesterday, talking with some of the challenges that they're facing there. I know Milton's going hard and trying to develop more things on the eastern end, Durham region. There's lots more to do. What we're really trying to do is say, okay, the money's going to be there, the investment's going to be there. Now take the time to make broad plans to meet what the ridership is going to be, not next year, but 10 years from now. And that's what really gives part of the predictability and solidity to people. I mean, it's not just about, knowing that the train's going to be there next week when you want to get into work. It's if you're moving into a community where you can buy a home, is there a plan that means you're going to be able to rely on public transit and not have to spend on gas as part of those decisions? And being predictable about that planning actually meets people where they are uncertain about the future. And this permanent investment is going to go a long way towards giving people exactly that predictability, that they know when they're buying a home, when they're thinking about moving to a community, what they're going to be able to rely on in terms of transit.
Just to further about that, the LRT, for example, the Eglinton going west is being built out, so it's planned and it will connect with the Mississauga. They will go through, hopefully, extend to airport, etc. Right? On the east, the Scarborough East LRT, the Waterfront LRT hasn't been approved yet, but we're designing it, as you know. It will come into Union Station, and they could travel anywhere from Union through the GO train. It's all integrated, but planning is taking place. But that is between provincial and city with the support of the federal government.
Exactly. When we got elected in 2015, we said we're investing in transit, we're investing in infrastructure, and we did that. We made a huge decision to bet on you and on the people who are building this future, and we've seen tremendous changes over the past few years, and this is about making sure that that continues. One last question from this side. Anyone? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I want to say first a major thank you for you coming today, and let you know on behalf of the 260 great employees at Greenwood Shop, we want to keep the work here, and we're on a mission to continue to be a transit system that Toronto can be proud of.
Hang on that. I will turn it over to our local MP, Julie DeBruce.
Alors non, je voulais juste dire merci beaucoup, Premier ministre, d'être ici parce que je sais que le transport en commun, c'est tellement important à notre ville, à notre communauté. C'est comment on se rend de place à place pour notre travail, pour aller à l'école. Moi, je n'ai pas de voiture, alors pour moi, c'est tellement important de rencontrer tous ces gens qui font ce travail pour nous supporter de jour à jour. Alors vraiment, merci à tout le monde. Merci à notre mairesse, Olivia Chow, d'être ici. Je sais qu'on a vraiment un partenariat tellement important. Alors, Monsieur le Premier ministre, merci.
Merci de rappeler aussi l'importance du bilinguisme. Écoute, on est là pour investir de façon permanente dans le transport collectif. C'est pour bâtir un avenir plus solide pour tous, pour reconnaître le travail que vous faites et surtout pour s'assurer un avenir plus prospère pour tous. Chrystia, anything to add?
Yeah, just to say it is so great to work with everyone here. It is great to work with the unionized workers here who have jobs that are about keeping our city moving and keeping your families living a good life. We love working with the mayor and her team. And, you know, as the Prime Minister has said, this is $30 billion over 10 years. It's already in the budget. And what we're saying to great cities like Toronto across the country is put forward your plans so we can work together. As the Prime Minister pointed out, it's also about integrating public transit and housing. And being sure that as we're building public transit, we're building housing density where the public transit is. So I think this is a really exciting moment for our communities, for the city of Toronto, and for the whole country. And
Last word to Olivia, great partner.
Oh my God, we're ready to build a wall of housing because we want 80% of them taking public transit, maybe, right beside Transit Hub, and we're building and building and building. So thank you so much for coming and saying hello to the workers, appreciating their hard work, and looking at the work we do to every day move people the better way.
And thank you for everything you guys do. Awesome. Thank you.
Well, I am so happy to be here with my colleagues, Arif and Jamie. All three of us are Toronto MPs. We know how important the TTC is for our constituents. It gets them to work, it gets them to play every single day. I do want to say, I think for all of us, it was really special to be here today to be able to thank the TTC workers who got the system up and running after those torrential rains yesterday in record time. Today's funding is historic. This is $30 billion over 10 years. It's in the budget already, which makes me as finance minister happy. And it's money that cities and transit systems can apply for starting right now to build and support fantastic systems like the TTC. A central element is it is about making sure that we as a country do a better job at planning our transit systems, having regional integration, and crucially, being sure that our transit systems and our housing plans work together. So to get the money, you need to be doing things that Toronto is already doing. Abolish parking minimums, have high density near transit hubs. And those kinds of things are going to be how we get great transit across Canada and we get more homes built faster. Je suis tellement contente d'être ici. C'est un jour important pour le Toronto, pour l'Ontario et pour le Canada. Et je suis très, très fière de mes collègues. I just want to conclude by really thanking the 416 caucus and Toronto MPs who have been such a strong voice for our city, being sure that working together with the city, with the province, we're making the investments that Torontonians need. Right, Arif?
Yes, absolutely.
Hold on that. Let me just reframe that. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
So I would just say that as a Toronto MP, I am both a user of the TTC, I am a person that relies upon the TTC, as do many of my constituents, and as do all of the people in the city. And I think this has been quite a week, right? Yesterday's events really demonstrate to us the importance of the TTC. We're investing in the TTC because we're creating good jobs for the people that are right behind us in this building. We're also creating, taking a strong statement about the importance of the TTC to keep the city moving and to reduce people's carbon footprint by encouraging them to use transit. And in a week when we've seen those torrential downpours, I'm pleased pleased that we're announcing this money that's already in the budget that supports the TTC, but I'm also pleased that earlier this week we had another installment of the Canada Carbon Rebate. We are addressing people's needs at the same time we're taking action on climate change. That's what a responsible government does.
Hold on just one second. Fighting the sun here at the same time. Is this capital or is this operating?
This is capital. And I'm going to give James Maloney, who has been a really important voice as our Ontario Caucus Chair, a chance to talk about it.
Yeah, I'll ask Jamie questions, but I'm just thinking, Operation Capital, is there clauses on this? Like usually whenever there's a major capital expenditure, you have to you have to have the trifecta. You have to have the municipal have money that can be invested, you have to have the province that has money invested, and the feds. Is this solely independent of the other two levels of government?
So this is an ironclad commitment that the federal government is making, that we are going to invest over the next 10 years $30 billion in public transit across Canada. That is a really big deal. This is the first time that the federal government has put that kind of permanent, predictable money on the table for municipalities across the country. And, you know, we heard from the people working here that that predictability is so important. The people here, like, they're amazing. One gentleman showed me his hands, and he said these hands, they have kept these trains going for the past 20 years. And these hands need to know that we're going to be able to buy the new trains that Toronto needs. That's what this money is about. Certainly, it is about collaboration with the city, with the province. It's about helping to ensure that across Canada we have the kind of planning we need, and we have different municipalities working together, because we all know we need the transit systems working together. It's about being sure that as we build our transit systems, we're building housing as well.
Is it going to be based on a push ridership or population or a need?
We heard from the mayor that she is going to be putting in an application today for the money. I'm actually having supper with her tonight, and I look forward. I suspect this is going to be on the menu, and I look forward to discussing it with her.
So it's not going to be.
That's all the time we have. It's all the time we have, James.
Operation expenses are also have to be evened out towards Canada. If you look at the operation per ridership supplement from the feds, it's heavily
as the Prime Minister said today. This money is about capital investments. During COVID, we did something extraordinary, which is to support operating expenses because it was a particular time. This is a historic moment. It's a historic announcement. We are really, really glad and really proud to be making $30 billion available. $30 billion. That's as much as we're spending on $30 billion over 10 years. Huge, unprecedented, historic investment. We are proud to be making it. It is permanent. It is predictable. It is exactly what we have been hearing from cities, from transit systems that they need, and we're here to provide that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, I think Jamie may want to say something.
No, we gotta go.
Do you want to?
Sure,
Yeah,
we'll stand for
we'll stand.
Funding for the TTC, it's always been underfunded.
It's always been underfunded, but it's also been unpredictable. As the minister said, it's sustained and it's permanent. I'm going to put it another way. It's game-changing. This money means my entire life, and I'm not a young man anymore, you know, the city and
Jamie
the province.
I
had a birthday yesterday. The city and the province, when they're planning transit, they're planning it incrementally short-term. Now they can plan long-term, so that they can think, as the Prime Minister said earlier, 10 years, 20 years ahead. Because this city's growing. Toronto is one of the greatest cities in North America. It deserves to have one of the greatest transit systems in North America, and this money is going to help make that happen. So it's great just for the community here, the workers, but it's great for people in Etobicoke, downtown, Parkdale, where Arif's riding is. But it's also great for people across Ontario, because these subway cars, many of them were built in Thunder Bay, where I was born. So this, if you look at the big picture, this is really game-changing. You know, it's going to alter the landscape of transit.
But
Okay.
you guys, you know, Toronto Transit has always been underfunded from all three levels of government. Will that change that? Will that change the attitude?
Well, look, we've certainly changed our part. I mean, you heard from the minister. It's in the budget. It's there. This money is now guaranteed. So we're doing our part, and we want to see exactly what you're talking about because Toronto deserves that type of commitment.
My carrots and so all the various subways.
I'm here celebrating what we're doing today.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.